The summer sky of a Millbrook, a quiet town nestled in the rolling hills of the American Midwest, had always been a canvas of tranquility. But on this sweltering July evening, that canvas was about to be torn asunder. Dr. Aria Chen, the town's brilliant but reclusive astrophysicist, stood on her back porch, sipping iced tea and gazing at the stars through her prized telescope. The constellations were old friends to her, their positions as familiar as the freckles on her own hands. Yet tonight, something was off. "What in the world?" she muttered, adjusting the focus. A new point of light had appeared, growing brighter by the second. At first, she dismissed it as a satellite or perhaps a particularly showy meteor. But as it expanded, taking on a distinct shape, her heart began to race. The object, now clearly visible to the naked eye, cast an eerie blue glow across the town. Cars screeched to a halt, their drivers gaping skyward. Children pointed excitedly from bedroom windows, while their parents reached for phones to call friends, family, or the local news station. Aria's own phone buzzed incessantly. As the town's resident space expert, everyone wanted her take on the unfolding spectacle, but she ignored the calls, her eyes glued to the impossible sight before her. The alien ship, for there was no doubt now that's what it was, hovered silently above Millbrook's Central Park. It was roughly the size of a football field, its surface a swirling mix of what looked like liquid metal and bioluminescent organisms. There were no visible seams, no engines, nothing that hinted at how such a massive object could float effortlessly in the air. As sirens wailed in the distance and a crowd began to gather at the park's edge, Aria found herself moving almost unconsciously towards the center of town. Her mind raced with questions and theories, each more fantastical than the last. First contact. After years of searching the stars, sending out signals, and hoping for a response, they had come to us, to Millbrook of all places. The local sheriff, a stout man named Jim Hawkins, was attempting to establish a perimeter around the ship. He looked relieved when he spotted Aria pushing through the throng. "Doc Chen," he called out. "Thank God you're here. Any idea what we're dealing with?" Aria shook her head, her eyes never leaving the ship. "Nothing in my field of study could have prepared me for this, Jim. But I can tell you one thing, whoever or whatever is in there, they're light years beyond our technology." As if in response to her words, a seam appeared in the ship's smooth surface. A ramp of sorts extended downward, touching the grass with a whisper-soft landing. The crowd collectively held its breath. From the glowing interior of the craft emerged a figure, humanoid in shape, but unmistakably alien. She, stood nearly 7 feet tall, with skin that shimmered like polished opal, 4 arms extended from a lithe torso, and atop an elongated neck sat a head adorned with what looked like a living crown of tentacles. The alien's eyes, large and multifaceted like those of an insect, scanned the crowd before settling on Aria. With graceful strides, it approached her, ignoring the gasps and murmurs of the onlookers. When it spoke, the sound seemed to come from everywhere at once, a melodious hum that somehow formed words in Aria's mind. "I am Zixara," the alien said. "I come seeking refuge and offering servitude to the people of Earth." Aria blinked, struggling to process the words. "Servitude," she managed to ask. Zixara nodded, her tentacle crown rippling with emotion. "My kind, the Exoloxians, have long observed your world. We have seen your potential, your resilience, your capacity for growth. I have chosen to defect from my people, to offer you our knowledge and technology." The alien's next words sent a shiver down Aria's spine. "No more tricks, human. I'm your alien servant for life." Sheriff Hawkins, who had been listening with wide-eyed disbelief, finally found his voice. "Now hold on just a minute," he sputtered. "You can't just show up and expect us to believe." But Zixara wasn't finished. With a wave of one of her 4 hands, a holographic display sprang to life between her and the humans. It showed scenes of devastation, planets burning, civilizations crumbling, and at the center of it all, ships that looked unsettlingly similar to the one now parked in Millbrook's Park. "My people are coming," Zixara said, her voice tinged with urgency. "They seek to conquer, to absorb, to destroy. I have chosen to stand against them, to give humanity a fighting chance." Arya felt the weight of the moment pressing down on her. First contact, and in the same breath, a warning of impending doom. It was almost too much to process, but as a scientist, she knew the importance of data, of verification. "How can we trust you?" she asked, surprised at the steadiness in her voice. "How do we know this isn't some elaborate deception?" Zixara's multifaceted eyes seemed to soften. "A wise question, Dr. Arya Chen. I offer you this knowledge. The secrets of faster-than-light travel, the key to unlimited clean energy, cures for diseases your people haven't even discovered yet, all freely given, with no strings attached save one. Allow me to help prepare your world for what is to come." The alien extended one of her hands towards Arya. In her palm lay a small crystalline object that pulsed with an inner light. "This contains but a fraction of what I offer," Zixara said. "Examine it, verify its contents, and when you are ready to accept my help, I will be here." Arya hesitated for a moment, then reached out and took the crystal. It was warm to the touch, almost alive. As the implications of what was happening began to sink in, the crowd's murmurs grew louder. News helicopters appeared on the horizon, and in the distance, the sound of military jets could be heard approaching. Zixara looked to the sky, then back at Arya. "Your leaders will soon arrive, demanding answers I cannot give to them alone. You, Dr. Chen, must be my voice. The fate of your world may depend on it." With that, the alien turned and walked back towards her ship. The ramp retracted, the seam closed, and the craft once again became a seamless, floating enigma. Arya stood there, the crystal clutched in her hand, her mind reeling. In the span of an hour, everything she thought she knew about the universe had been appended. Humanity was not alone, but it was also, apparently, in grave danger. As the first military vehicles began to arrive, Arya made a decision. Whatever Zixara's true motives, whatever challenges lay ahead, she would see this through. For the sake of science, for the sake of humanity, she would be the bridge between two worlds. Little did she know, this was only the beginning of a journey that would reshape the destiny of Earth and its place in the cosmos. The days following Zixara's arrival in Millbrook were a whirlwind of activity. The small town had become the epicenter of global attention, swarming with government officials, military personnel, and media from every corner of the world. At the heart of it all stood Dr. Arya Chen, thrust into a role she never imagined, humanity's primary liaison with an alien visitor. The crystal Zixara had given her proved to be a technological marvel beyond anything Earth's scientists had ever seen. It contained vast amounts of data on everything from advanced physics to medical breakthroughs. As Arya and her hastily assembled team of experts worked to decipher its contents, Zixara remained in her ship, emerging only for scheduled meetings with human representatives. "It's incredible," Arya muttered, rubbing her tired eyes as she pored over the latest analysis. "The energy production methods alone could solve our climate crisis overnight." Her colleague, Dr. Marcus Reeves, nodded in agreement. "And the medical applications, we're talking about cures for cancer, Alzheimer's, even aging itself. It's almost too good to be true." Arya frowned at his choice of words. "Too good to be true. That's what worries me, Marcus. Why would an advanced civilization just hand over all this knowledge?" Before Marcus could respond, there was a commotion outside their makeshift lab. Arya stepped out to find Zixara gliding towards her, flanked by nervous-looking military escorts. "Dr. Chen," the alien greeted, her melodious voice echoing in Arya's mind. "I sense your doubts. Perhaps it's time I showed you more." Without waiting for a response, Zixara raised all four of her arms. The air shimmered, and suddenly the lab disappeared. Arya found herself standing on what appeared to be the bridge of a massive spacecraft, stars streaking by at impossible speeds. "This is a memory projection," Zixara explained. "A glimpse of my homeworld and the empire that threatens yours." The scene shifted, showing a planet of breathtaking beauty. Crystal spires reaching into pink-hued skies, oceans that glowed with bioluminescent life. But then came darkness. Massive ships, similar to Zixara's but bristling with weapons, descended upon the planet. The destruction was swift and absolute. "My people, the Xyloxians, were once peaceful," Zixara's voice was heavy with sorrow. "But power corrupts. Our leaders became obsessed with expansion, with absorbing other cultures into our own. Those who resisted were eliminated." The images faded, and Arya found herself back in the lab, gasping for breath. The experience had felt utterly real. "You see now why I defected," Zixara continued. "Why I offer my knowledge and servitude to humanity. Your species may be young, but you possess a strength, a resilience that my people have lost. With the right tools, you might stand a chance against what's coming." Arya's mind raced. The display was convincing, but doubt still nagged at her. "If your people are so advanced, how can we possibly hope to resist them?" Zixara's multifaceted eyes seemed to twinkle. "Because, Dr. Chen, they underestimate you. And they do not expect one of their own to stand against them. Together, we can prepare defenses they won't anticipate." As word of Zixara's projection spread, public opinion in Millbrook, and around the world, began to shift. Many saw the alien as a savior, a benevolent being offering humanity a leap forward in evolution. Others, however, remained deeply suspicious. Sheriff Hawkins voiced his concerns at a town hall meeting. "Look, I'm not saying the fancy light shows aren't impressive, but how do we know any of it's real? For all we know, this could be the first stage of an invasion." His words struck a chord with many. Protesters began to gather daily near Zixara's ship, their signs warning of Trojan horses and false prophets. Arya found herself caught in the middle, struggling to balance her scientific curiosity with her own lingering doubts. Late one night, as she walked home from another marathon research session, she noticed a figure following her. Her heart raced until she realized it was Zixara, moving silently through the shadows. "Your people fear me," the alien said, falling into step beside her. Arya nodded. "Can you blame them? Everything's happening so fast. You have to understand, this goes against everything we thought we knew about the universe." Zixara was quiet for a moment. "In my culture, when one pledges servitude, it is an unbreakable bond. I have given you knowledge freely, asked for nothing in return but the chance to help. What more can I do to earn your trust?" The sincerity in the alien's voice was palpable. Arya sighed. "Time, Zixara. We need time to process, to verify, to understand. Humanity wasn't prepared for this." As they reached Arya's home, Zixara stopped. "Time is the one thing we may not have, Dr. Chen. But I will do as you ask. I will wait, and I will continue to share what I know. Perhaps actions will speak louder than words." The next morning, Arya woke to shocking news. Overnight, Zixara had transmitted a massive data packet to every major scientific institution on Earth. It contained blueprints for clean energy reactors, plans for advanced medical equipment, and formulas for synthetic materials stronger than anything on Earth. The alien's message was clear. This knowledge was a gift, freely given, with no strings attached. As Arya rushed to her lab, her phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. The message sent chills down her spine. "Beware the bearer of gifts. The truth lies in the stars." Arya hesitated, then deleted the message. But the seed of doubt had been planted. As she threw herself into analyzing Zixara's latest data dump, part of her couldn't shake the feeling that they were all playing a part in a much larger, more dangerous game. Little did she know, high above the earth, hidden from even the most advanced human senses, a fleet of Philoxian ships was gathering. The clock was ticking, and humanity's trial by fire was about to begin. Alien technology unleash. The world changed rapidly in the weeks following Zixara's data transmission. Governments and corporations scrambled to implement the alien technology, leading to advancements that would have seemed like science fiction just months ago. In Millbrook, the transformation was even more dramatic. The small town had become a hub of innovation, with research facilities and tech startups sprouting up almost overnight. At the center of it all was Dr. Arya Chen, working tirelessly to understand and adapt the alien knowledge. One crisp autumn morning, Arya stood on a hill overlooking the town, barely recognizing the place she called home for years. Sleek buildings with shimmering solar panels dotted the landscape. Electric vehicles hummed quietly along the streets, and in the distance, the framework of a massive structure was taking shape, Earth's first antimatter reactor, promising unlimited clean energy. Impressive, isn't it? The voice startled Arya. She turned to find Zixara standing beside her, the alien's opalescent skin glinting in the sunlight. Arya nodded, a mix of awe and unease churning in her stomach. It's incredible, but I can't help wondering if we're moving too fast. Some of this technology, we barely understand the principles behind it, let alone the long-term consequences. Zixara's tentacle crown rippled, a gesture Arya had come to recognize as thoughtfulness. Your caution is wise, Dr. Chen. But remember, time is not on our side. My people will not wait for Earth to be ready. As if to underscore the alien's words, a low rumble filled the air. Arya looked up to see a sleek, dart-like shape cutting through the clouds, Earth's first faster-than-light capable probe, built using Seloxian blueprints. The star-search eye, Arya murmured. I still can't believe we managed to build it so quickly. Zixara's multifaceted eyes reflected the tiny ship as it vanished into the upper atmosphere. A necessary step. It will allow your people to verify my warnings about the Xyloxian fleet. Arya's phone buzzed, a message from her lab. Speaking of which, we're about to receive the first transmission from Star Search IKEA to join us. Minutes later, they stood in a crowded control room, all eyes fixed on a large screen. Static crackled, then resolved into a grainy image that caused a collective gasp. There, at the edge of the solar system, was an armada of ships. Hundreds, perhaps thousands of vessels, their designs similar to Zixara's but bristling with what were unmistakably weapons. It's true, someone whispered. They're really coming. Arya felt a chill run down her spine. She turned to Zixara, expecting to see vindication on the alien's face. Instead, she saw something that looked almost like guilt. Before she could ponder this, alarms began blaring. Red warning lights flashed across every console in the room. What's happening? Arya shouted over the chaos. A technician's voice cut through the noise. It's the antimatter reactor. Something's wrong. The containment field is fluctuating. Zixara moved with inhuman speed, her forearms flying over the controls. A cascade failure, she said, her usually melodious voice tight with urgency. If it's not stabilized, the resulting explosion could vaporize half the state. Arya felt her heart racing. This was the nightmare scenario they'd all feared, alien technology turning against them. But as she watched Zixara work, inputting complex commands faster than any human could, a new worry surfaced. How did Zixara know exactly how to operate Earth's systems? The next few hours were a blur of frantic activity. Zixara, working in tandem with Earth's best scientists, managed to stabilize the reactor. But the incident left everyone shaken. As the sun set on a day that had nearly ended in catastrophe, Arya found herself alone with Zixara in her lab. I owe you an explanation, the alien said softly. Arya crossed her arms. You're damn right you do. How did you know so much about our systems? Have you been spying on us? Zixara's tentacles drooped, a gesture Arya had come to associate with shame. Not spying, guiding. Some of the advancements, they did not come solely from the data I provided. I've been subtly influencing your scientists, pushing them in the right directions. Arya felt her anger rising. You've been manipulating us. Why? Because you needed to advance quickly, Sixara replied. But I underestimated how rapidly you would implement the new technologies. The reactor incident, it was my fault. I pushed too hard. Aria's mind reeled. Everything she thought she knew about that alien visitor was being called into question. But before she could respond, her computer chimed. A new message, from the same unknown sender as before. The servant seeks to become the master. Look to the stars for the truth. As Aria read the cryptic warning, a new alarm sounded. The Star Search I probe had picked up something else, a transmission from the alien fleet. As the message was decoded, Aria felt her blood run cold. The words that appeared on the screen shattered everything she thought she knew. Operative Sixara, your mission is compromised. Initiate final protocol. The assimilation of Earth begins now. Aria turned to confront Sixara, but the alien was already moving, her form shimmering as if about to teleport. In that moment, Aria realized the true depth of the deception they'd all fallen for. The game had changed. Earth's fight for survival was about to begin in earnest, and the lines between ally and enemy had just become blurred beyond recognition. The galactic threat revealed. The control room erupted into chaos as the implications of the intercepted message sank in. Aria's mind raced, trying to process the betrayal while simultaneously grappling with the imminent threat. She longed for Sixara, but her hands passed through empty air as the alien's form shimmered and vanished. Lockdown, Aria shouted, her voice hoarse with anger and fear. Full quarantine protocols, now. As alarms blared and security teams scrambled, Aria fought to regain control of the situation. She knew that every second counted. If Sixara truly was an advance agent for an invasion force, then everything they thought they knew about their defenses could be compromised. Hours passed in a flurry of emergency meetings, frantic calls to world leaders, and desperate attempts to secure and analyze all the alien technology they'd so eagerly embraced. It was nearly dawn when Aria finally had a moment to breathe, slumping into her office chair with a cup of cold coffee. Her computer chimed, another message from the mysterious sender. The truth you seek lies beneath the waves. Trust only the stars. Aria frowned, her exhausted mind struggling to decipher the cryptic words. Before she could ponder further, her door burst open. Dr. Marcus Reeves rushed in, his face pale with shock. Aria, you need to see this, he gasped, pulling up a holographic display. We've been analyzing the deep space telemetry from before Sixara arrived. Look at this pattern. The display showed a series of seemingly random energy fluctuations, but as Marcus manipulated the data, a clear pattern emerged, one that matched perfectly with the timing of Earth's major technological leaps over the past few months. They've been watching us, Aria whispered, guiding our development. But why? Marcus shook his head. I don't know, but there's more. We found this hidden in the subroutines of the antimatter reactor. Another display popped up, showing lines of alien code. As Aria watched, the symbols shifted, transforming into English. Project Harvester, Phase 1 complete. Host civilization primed for assimilation. The realization hit Aria like a physical blow. We're not being invaded, she said, her voice barely audible. We're being harvested. The next few days were a blur of global panic and desperate preparation. As news of the deception spread, riots broke out in major cities. The alien technology that had seemed like a miracle now felt like a ticking time bomb. Aria found herself at the center of a hastily assembled Global Defense Council, working around the clock to understand and counter the threat. But for every step forward, it seemed they took 2 steps back. The antimatter reactors are useless, a general reported grimly. They've all got hidden protocols we can't crack. If we try to use them, we'll just be handing the enemy more power. The medical nanites are compromised too, added a CDC representative. Early analysis suggests they could be used to rewrite human DNA on a massive scale. Arya felt the weight of the world pressing down on her shoulders. They had invited this threat into their homes, their bodies, their very way of life. How could they possibly fight back? As if in answer to her unspoken question, her computer chimed once more. The mysterious sender again. Look to the depths. The old ways will light the new path. Suddenly, the cryptic messages clicked into place. Arya sat up straight, her mind racing. The oceans, she said aloud, drawing confused looks from her colleagues. That's what we've been missing. She pulled up a global map, highlighting the world's deepest ocean trenches. We've been so focused on space, on the new technology, that we forgot about our own unexplored frontier. The Mariana Trench, the Puerto Rico Trench, they're perfect hiding spots, shielded from most of our senses. As the council watched in growing excitement, Arya outlined her theory. What if there's another player in this game? Someone who's been trying to warn us, to guide us towards a genuine defense. The room erupted in a flurry of activity as orders were given to redirect satellites and deploy deep-sea probes. Hours later, Arya stood breathless as the first images came in from the depths of the Puerto Rico Trench. There, hidden beneath miles of water and rock, was a structure that defied explanation. Its architecture was clearly alien, but fundamentally different from the sleek, organic designs of Zixara's technology. This was something older, more primal, yet incredibly advanced. As they watched, a massive door in the structure began to open. From its depths emerged a vessel unlike anything they had ever seen. It rose through the water with impossible speed, breaking the surface in a spray of sea foam visible from space. Arya's phone rang, a voice she didn't recognize, yet somehow felt she'd been waiting to hear her entire life. Dr. Chen, the voice said, ancient and powerful. We've been waiting a long time for your people to find us. I'm afraid pleasantries will have to wait. We have a planet to save, and not much time to do it. As the mysterious vessel approached, Arya felt a glimmer of hope for the first time since Zixara's betrayal. The game had changed once again. Humanity had been manipulated, nearly destroyed by its own eagerness to embrace the future. But now it seemed they had found an ally in the most unexpected of places. The true battle for Earth's survival was about to begin. Humanity's stand. The arrival of the mysterious underwater vessel sent shockwaves through the global community. As it hovered above the Atlantic, its sleek, obsidian surface defying all known laws of physics, the world held its breath. Arya found herself aboard a hastily assembled international task force racing towards the rendezvous point. As their aircraft approached, she got her first close-up look at humanity's potential new ally. The ship was massive, easily dwarfing the largest aircraft carriers. Its surface seemed to ripple and shift, as if it were made of living metal. A beam of soft, blue light enveloped their aircraft, gently guiding it into a cavernous hangar. As Arya stepped out, she was greeted by a sight that took her breath away. The beings that approached were humanoid, but clearly alien. Tall and lithe, with skin that shimmered like polished pearl, they moved with a fluid grace that seemed almost aquatic. Their eyes, large and luminous, regarded the human delegation with what Arya could only describe as ancient wisdom. One of the aliens stepped forward, its voice resonating directly in Arya's mind. I am Zorax, Elder of the Lumina. We have watched your kind for millennia, hoping you would find us when the time was right. Arya swallowed hard, finding her voice. Why didn't you contact us sooner? Especially when Zixara arrived. Zorax's expression shifted, conveying a mix of regret and determination. Non-interference has long been our way, but the Exeloxians forced our hand. Their harvest threatens not just Earth, but the balance of the entire galaxy. Over the next few hours, Arya and her team were given a crash course in galactic politics and ancient history. The Lumina, it turned out, were one of the oldest spacefaring races in the galaxy. They had fought the Exeloxians eons ago, driving them back to a small corner of the cosmos. But now, the Harvester race had returned, more powerful than ever. Your planet, Zorax explained, projecting a holographic image of Earth, sits at a crucial junction of space-time. The Exaloxians don't just want your resources or your people. They want to use Earth as a staging ground for a galaxy-wide invasion. The implications were staggering. Humanity had unwittingly become the keystone in a conflict that spanned millennia and light years. How can we possibly fight them? Arya asked, feeling the weight of responsibility crushing down on her. Zorak's eyes glimmered with something akin to hope. With our knowledge and your ingenuity, Dr. Chen, the Exaloxians underestimate you, as do many in the galaxy. But we have seen your potential. What followed was a whirlwind of activity. The Lumina shared technology beyond humanity's wildest dreams, but unlike Zixara's gifts, these came with full explanations and warnings. Arya and her team worked around the clock, adapting Lumina tech to Earth's defenses and finding ways to neutralize the Exaloxian infiltration. As the days passed, Earth transformed. The compromised alien tech was systematically shut down and replaced. New shields flickered to life around major cities, and in orbit, a hastily assembled defense fleet took shape, a mix of human ingenuity and Lumina technology. But time was running out. Long-range sensors detected the Exaloxian fleet approaching, far larger and more deadly than they had initially feared. On the eve of the expected invasion, Arya stood on the bridge of Earth's flagship, a repurposed aircraft carrier now bristling with energy weapons and quantum shields. Beside her, Zorax gazed at the viewscreen showing the approaching enemy fleet. "They will be here by dawn," the Lumina Elder said solemnly. "Are you ready, Dr. Chen?" Arya took a deep breath, looking around at the determined faces of her human crew, mixed with a handful of Lumina advisors. "As ready as we'll ever be." As the first light of dawn broke over the horizon, the sky lit up with the arrival of the Exaloxian Armada. Thousands of ships, their organic forms writhing with weapon systems, filled the view. For a moment, there was an eerie silence. Then, a familiar voice echoed across all communication channels. "Zixara." "People of Earth," the voice said, dripping with false benevolence. "Your time of ascension has come. Embrace the harvest and join us in galactic perfection." Arya's hands clenched into fists. She nodded to her communications officer, who opened a channel. "This is Dr. Arya Chen of Earth," she said, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "And this is our response." At her signal, Earth's defenses roared to life. Shields shimmered into existence around the planet. The defense fleet moved into formation, weapons charged, and from hidden bases around the globe, swarms of fighter craft took to the skies. The battle for Earth had begun. Energy weapons lanced across space, quantum torpedoes phased in and out of reality to strike their targets, and gravity wells opened to swallow entire enemy squadrons. As the conflict raged, Arya coordinated the defense from the flagship, working in tandem with military leaders and Lumin advisors. The Exaloxians clearly hadn't expected such resistance, but they adapted quickly, their organic ships evolving new defenses on the fly. Hours passed in a blur of tactical decisions, near misses, and hard-fought victories. Earth's forces were holding their own, but the enemy's numbers seemed endless. Just when it seemed the tide was turning against them, Zorax approached Arya with a grim expression. "There's one more option," the Lumina said, "but it's risky and will require a great sacrifice." As Zorax outlined the plan, Arya felt a mix of hope and dread. It could work, but the cost. She looked out at her battered homeworld, then back at the determined faces of her crew. "Do it," she said firmly. "Whatever it takes to save our world." As the orbs went out, Arya steeled herself for what was to come. The fate of not just Earth, but the entire galaxy hung in the balance, and the final gambit was about to unfold. A new era for Earth. The final gambit unfolded with breathtaking speed. As Arya watched from the bridge of Earth's flagship, Zorax initiated a sequence that seemed to defy the laws of physics themselves. The Lumina vessel began to pulse with energy, creating ripples in the very fabric of space-time. "What we're about to do," Zorax explained, their voice tight with concentration, "is create a temporal fold. It will envelop the entire Sol system, shifting it partially out of phase with normal space-time." Aria's mind reeled at the implications. "But won't that cut us off from the rest of the galaxy?" Zorax nodded sullenly. "For a time, yes. But it will also make it impossible for the Exoloxians to use Earth as their invasion staging ground. And it will give your people the time they need to truly master the technologies we've shared." As the luminous ship's energy output reached its peak, a shimmering curtain of light began to spread outward, enveloping the Earth, then the Moon, and finally the entire solar system. The Exoloxian ships caught in its path simply vanished, phased out of their reality. But the process was not without its cost. As the temporal fold settled into place, the Lumina vessel began to break apart, the strain of creating such a massive distortion proving too much for even its advanced technology. "Zorax!" Aria cried out, watching in horror as their ally's ship disintegrated. The Lumina Elder's voice echoed in her mind one last time. "This is not the end, Dr. Chen. It is a new beginning. We entrust the future of this sector of the galaxy to humanity. Use this time wisely." With a final flash of light, the Lumina ship was gone, along with the remainder of the Exoloxian fleet. Earth and its solar system now floated in a pocket of altered space-time, protected from outside threats, but also isolated from the wider galaxy. In the days that followed, the full implications of their victory, and its cost, became clear. The temporal fold had bought them safety and time, but it had also cut off all contact with any potential alien allies. Humanity was truly on its own. Aria found herself at the center of Earth's efforts to adapt to this new reality. The advanced technology left behind by the Lumina became the foundation for a new era of human innovation and exploration. Years passed. The nations of Earth, brought together by the common threat they had faced, forged a new global unity. The compromised Hyloxian technology was systematically replaced with human-developed alternatives, built on the principles taught by the Lumina, but adapted to humanity's unique approach to problem-solving. As decades turned to centuries, Earth's influence spread throughout the solar system. Colonies were established on Mars, the moons of Jupiter, and even in the atmosphere of Venus. The asteroid belt became a hub of mining and industry, fueling an unprecedented age of prosperity and scientific advancement. All the while, teams of scientists worked tirelessly to understand and control the temporal fold that protected them. They knew that one day they would need to rejoin the wider galaxy, hopefully as equals to the ancient races that inhabited it, ready to face whatever threats might still lurk in the cosmic darkness. On the 200th anniversary of what had come to be known as the Battle for Sol, an elderly Aria stood on the observation deck of Harmony Station, Earth's first true interplanetary hub. She gazed out at the shimmering barrier of the temporal fold, marveling at how far they had come. A young aide approached her, tablet in hand. "Dr. Chen, we're receiving a signal. It's coming from outside the fold." Aria's heart raced as she read the message. It was in Lumina script, a language she had spent a lifetime studying. The words made her smile. "The time has come. Are you ready to rejoin the stars?" As alarms sounded and the station burst into activity, Aria felt a sense of déjà vu. Once again, humanity stood on the brink of a new era, facing the unknown. But this time, they were not unprepared. This time, they were not merely reacting to a threat, but stepping forward into a future they had built with their own hands. "Send the reply," Aria said, her voice strong despite her years. "Tell them Earth is ready." As the message was transmitted, Aria watched the temporal fold begin to shimmer and dissipate. The stars beyond, hidden for so long, began to shine through. A new chapter in human history was about to begin, and the legacy of those who had sacrificed everything to give them this chance would live on in the civilizations humanity would encounter and the wonders they would discover. The Earth that emerged from its cosmic cocoon was not the same world that had faced extinction centuries before. It was a world united, a world prepared, a world ready to take its place among the stars. And as the temporal fold faded away completely, revealing the vast expanse of the galaxy, Arya knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, humanity would face them together. The end.